I can see it.
All right, so forests. This is the fourth topic for geography. Forest areas, we'll talk about the important type of forests in Pakistan, the uses, the threats, advantages, and everything, their contribution to the economy, deforestation, afforestation, government policies surrounding forests in the country. So, yeah, 20.5% of a country's land must be covered with forests for a balanced economy, because forests contribute to the economy to a great extent. 20.5% of the area, it's a huge part. So you can obtain wood, you can produce different medicines, you can produce paper, you can produce different pharmaceutical products, and obviously forests are also shelter for animals. They increase tourism, and yeah. So 4.8% of total area of Pakistan is forested, which is pretty less according to the standard figures that are 20 to 25 here. You can see the screen. So every year, Pakistan has to import woods because of the deficiency here in the country itself. And yeah, so Evan, can you see my cursor as well when I point out these figures on the screen? Is the cursor visible?
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, perfect. So forestation and reforestation are two different terminologies. Forestation is planting of new forests at a new location, whereas reforestation is planting a forest in the same area where once there was a forest and then later it got deforested and you're planting trees and plantations again. So this is what reforestation is. Contribution of forests by different provinces. NWFP has 30% of total Pakistan's forests. Northern areas 25%, Sindh 18%, Punjab 17%, and Balochistan 8%. So the Balochistan is the only province that has the least number of forests in the country. Productive and protective forests. These are the two types of major forests. Productive forests are all those forests that are grown for production of fruits, medicines, vegetables, right? So any product that you obtain for consumption on daily basis, for import, for export, for local commercial purposes, that forest is known as production forest. Protection forests are all those forests that are used for protection of environment, for maybe protection of roads. They're planted along the highways, along the railway tracks, they're in parks. They provide natural shade against the temperatures. And obviously forests also protect soil erosion, deposition. These are also some important advantages of forest areas. Because of the strong footings and the strong roots of the forests in the ground, they protect soil erosion. Similarly, forests regulate water supply and rivers to prevent floods as well. If you look at the second point here, forests check the pollution and provide clean environment because of their absorption capabilities of carbon dioxide and production of oxygen. Forests provide raw material for wood-based industries. Forests provide employment opportunities, use for medicines, recreation facilities, national habitat, oxygen, provide shade and fruits. Branches intercept the rainfall, leaves decompose and mix with soil, and they're also used to make different fertilizers. These are some advantages. This diagram here is the one showing these trees planted in a row and how they're protecting the environment. For example, root set that go down and then they protect the soil from erosion. Seeds can even help grow further. Young trees have water flows. The trees protect the surface runoff because of water. Yeah. So yeah, determinants. Determinants are all those factors that contribute to the different types of forests in a country. For example, you'll see more forests mostly in the northern areas that are on the higher altitudes. You'll see different types of forests in Balochistan. You'll see different types of forests along the Indus Plain, because the topography of a land affects the types of forests grown in that particular area. Because there is typically high precipitation in the northern mountains. This is why trees are grown in a greater number on the northern mountains as compared to other regions of the country. Similarly, you could see some plantations, some very important essential plantations along the Indus Plains as well because of the alluvium soil that is found over there, which is the best quality of soil. Mangrove vegetation is mostly found around the deltas, coastal areas. We're going to study mangroves in detail. For now, just know that this is a type of vegetation that is particularly found around the coastal areas. For example, this coast, the Sindh coast, the Makran coast, you'll find this particular vegetation over there. Topography affects the plantation. We've already covered that. Altitude affects the plantation and snowline as well. Okay. Types of forests in Pakistan: alpine, coniferous, subtropical, tropical thorn, mangrove, riparian, and irrigated forests. So we're going to be studying these forests in detail now, each of this type, because this is very important. This entire topic is mostly about these types of forests that are grown in Pakistan. Alpine forests is the first type of forest. Let's look at the details here. So alpine forests are found at altitudes of 4,000 meters. And they're found in the districts of Chitral, Swat, Shangla, Kohistan, mostly these northern areas, okay? So these forests can survive in these long winters. They can survive in these freezing temperatures, and they're usually very tall in height. The leaves are pointed, cone-shaped leaves. We're gonna even look at the pictures. I think this, yeah, there are a few pictures here. You can see this is a coniferous forest. You see the trees are generally long. The leaves are pointed. This is a very blurred image. You can Google different images for coniferous forest because in your exam paper, you will be asked to identify different forests by looking at their pictures. This is an evergreen forest, needle-shaped leaves. The wood is very soft, and you should also know what the wood is used for. Generally, the wood isn't, because of the softness, because of the lower density, the wood isn't of much use for these coniferous forests. They're mostly used for the beautification. If you've ever been to Murray, you'll notice most of the coniferous forests, and most of the forests in Murray are this type, coniferous forests. And they look very beautiful in winters when snow falls on these forests. You can even Google some pictures of coniferous in winters. Sorry, alpine forests. Yeah. Was I saying coniferous all this time? Alpine forests. Okay. Coniferous is the next type of forests. Coniferous, you can see the pictures here first of all. Yeah. You see how they're different than the alpine forests? Coniferous forests are found between 1,000 to 4,000 altitude. Aptabad, Mansehra, Rawalpindi, Balochistan, Murray, Punjab province, Kohistan. Yeah, these are the types of woods here that are basically obtained from these forests. Coniferous are also evergreen, conical shaped, and these forests retain full height. Again, they're also very tall. Importance: timber. Timber is the type of wood that's basically obtained through these coniferous forests. They're used for environmental protection, breeding place for birds and wildlife, add to scenic beauty of the area, promotes tourism industry. Yeah. Okay, you can look at some more pictures. These a few questions as well. You can go through these questions from the notes in the drive. Once we've started this topic, I'm sure these questions will be pretty easy for you. See, this is a map here, and you're asked to identify the types of forests by looking at the areas and regions they're grown in. So it's very important to know the regions where a particular forest is grown. Okay, subtropical dry forests or scrub forests. The third type of forests in Pakistan, they are grown on usually a little lesser altitudes, 1,000 meter. Gujarat, Jhelum, Rawalpindi, Atak, Punjab, Mansehra, Aptabad, Maidan, Peshawar, Kohat, NWFP, Balochistan. These are all the regions where subtropical dry forests are found. Dry leaves, evergreen again, broad shaped leaves, umbrella shape of the trees, firewood, timber, grazing purposes. These are the importance. This is a very blurred picture of tropical dry forests. Yeah, this is another one. Trees are usually lesser in the height. These are mostly bush-like trees. See? Yeah. Irrigated forests. So irrigated forests are man-made plantations, which are usually grown for different purposes, such as tourism, for construction, or for let's say making irrigated scenic landscapes and everything. So you can a Changa Manga forest as an example, which was planted in 1866 by the government of Pakistan. And that forest was basically planted to basically obtain wood for railway engines, because at that time Pakistan used to operate steam engines. 1860, not Pakistan, but the the government in the subcontinent in that time, 1866. But later on, when this forest, after partition of 1947, the government of Pakistan also used this forest for supply of wood and for tourism purposes. Okay, so yeah, you'll see these irrigated plantations in Khanewal, Sakkar, Bahawalpur, Shorecoat in different areas. Yeah. Importance: timber, firewood, linear plantations, because irrigated plantations are generally man-made, so you have an option where to plant these. Most of the times, governments, they plant irrigated forests, especially for shade alongside highways, roads, motorways. Yeah. So these plants are usually planted in rows and lines because you have an option to plant them wherever you want to, equal distances, same height and age, same species. This is the map. You see, most of these forests, you'll find them around this river Indus. Why did the government, why are these forests planted alongside the river Indus and the tributaries of the river Indus? Because these forests can also provide shade and reduce water losses through different canals, because obviously alongside river Indus you'll find different canals and link canals taking water to the agricultural areas, and forests over there would help minimize the water loss through evaporation. See, this is an example of irrigated plantation. How did you see how these trees are arranged in a proper order? Let's look at this. Explain the advantages and the disadvantages of developing more irrigated plantations of trees in lowland areas of Punjab and Sindh. This is a typical level marking question, a 6-mark question for geography, where you're asked to explain the advantages and disadvantages of developing more irrigated plantations. So the advantages here are, you can write 3 advantages and 3 disadvantages for this question. Okay. Just a second. All right. So this is a typical 6-mark question. Just a second. I don't know why is my pen not working. Anyways. Just a second. All right, let's continue. 3 points for advantages. Any 3 points. You can pick up the best ones. Timber. You can write about the production of wood, but also write some examples. For example, timber is used for construction, fencing, firewood, furniture making, furnishing, and everything. Food for animals, leaf fall for humus and fertility, clean air, scenic beauty, protection from soil erosion, employment. Also elaborate this term employment. All of the answers here given in this PDF are just pointers made for you, but your elaborations are to be made by you. Okay, employment, for example, people who work for this construction industries, who cut the wood, who transport the wood to different industrial areas. Habitat for wildlife, talk about birds, animals that live in forests. Disadvantages: high cost. It is a long-term investment. You'll have to plant the forest, maintain those forests for a longer period of time. Again, investment on maintenance and care, irrigation, more demand on water supplies, loss of land for housing, problems caused by roots and leaves. That same areas could be later used for housings as well. So yeah, the pointer is now working. So 3 points, 3 points for advantages and 3 points for disadvantages. All right. This is a 6-mark question. Don't forget to write examples. Examples are very, very important. References, examples, justifications for your points. All right. Linear plantations, we've already talked about that as well. Purpose of linear plantations: prevent soil erosions against rivers, against mountains, lower the temperatures, provide shade, fruit, timber, leaves, roofing. Okay. And now we're coming towards this last type of forest, tropical thorn or rock forest. Tropical thorn forests are basically grown in Punjab, in the plainer areas. They survive on very small amount of water. They're found in Sindh. They're scattered. You can also find scattered patches in southwestern Balochistan, 10 meters high. Okay. Firewood and timber could be obtained. That's it. Riverine or Bela forests. These forests are located around the bank of the river Indus. Tributaries just like the scrub forests. They are also found in the active floodplains. And finally, the mangrove forests. Mangrove forests are usually grown on the deltas in the coastal areas. So the Indus Delta is an example of a mangrove forest area. These trees are about 3 to 4 meters in height. They're used for they're basically used as a breeding ground for the fish. They can survive in salty water as well. This is why they're usually there alongside the Arabian Sea and the deltas. And they protect the fish from the predators as well. This is an example of mangrove. See, they need a lot of water to grow, and obviously, and they can grow in the seawater as well, salt water as well, because the roots are designed in such a way that they retain the salt and they filter the salt out. So the wood is used for fuel. Coastal communities use wood for making boats. Mangrove forests are a good breeding place for fish and shrimps. Leaves of these are used as a feed for animals. Okay, we're done with the types of forests. I will now be highlighting a few questions for you to attempt. I'll mark these questions from the PDF here for you. Could you please write these questions down? The questions that we'll be marking here in class are just a few of these questions given in the PDF. To attempt and to mark, you have all the other questions available at your end. You can anytime visit the PDF and revise these questions if you want to, and you can refer back to me if you have any confusion or questions.